Well, hello and welcome again to our daily devotional. Now, today I'm back in the book of Galatians, and actually I'm right back in chapter 5, but a slightly different bit to the one we talked about yesterday and the day before. And in this devotional, I want to put together two verses 16 and 25 of Galatians chapter 5. Now, you have to be a wee bit careful when you start separating verses because it's easy to warp the meaning, but I'm fairly sure that we're okay in this instance. But read the whole of Galatians chapter 5 and just see what you think. But basically, chapter 5 is continuing this diatribe about the need to be led by the Spirit, not driven by our flesh, to live in the freedom of being guided by the Spirit instead of the bondage that comes from trying to live under the law. So let me read these two verses and then I'll draw attention to just one small part which has really intrigued me today. So verse 16 of Galatians chapter 5 says, "So I say, let the Holy Spirit guide your lives. Then you won't be doing what your sinful nature craves." And then verse 25 says, "Since we are living by the Spirit, let us follow the Spirit's leading in every part of our lives." And that's the bit that's really gripped me today. The Holy Spirit's leading in every part of our lives. I think it's very easy to attach the Holy Spirit to times of worship, when you get to that particular crescendo and sometimes you feel like, yes, the Holy Spirit is really there, or you feel the urge to manifest one of the gifts of the Spirit, then obviously the Holy Spirit is there. But it's this idea that the Holy Spirit's leading applies to every single part of our lives. Now, it's pretty obvious to us that our flesh is always speaking into every part of our lives. The number of times you start thinking about food or other things at inappropriate times tells you that the flesh is always switched on, always ready to do business, always ready to give you its opinion. What this is saying in verse 25, the second half is, but so is the Holy Spirit. Always on, always available, always ready to guide, always ready to lead. So we don't have to convince him. It's the word let again that we're getting in this verse. We just need to let it happen. Let the Holy Spirit guide us in every single part of our lives. Now, I've done a lot of driving in my career. I've had many jobs that required me to travel in this country and abroad. And many times I've either been lost or afraid that I'm about to get lost. And I've just said, Lord, please guide me. And this is way back before there was sat-nav and GPS. In those days, at the beginning of my career, it was drive with an A to Z map in one hand and the steering wheel in the other, trying to find the place that you're going to, which was really dangerous. So to be able to say, Lord, just guide me, and you'd have that strong sense sometimes, I think I need to turn left or I need to turn right. And it was remarkable the number of times that got me out of a jam. Same with parking spaces. I've always felt that I've had a good relationship with the Lord when it comes to finding parking spaces because I just trust him to do that. And the number of times I either drive up and somebody's just leaving or I find one in an unexpected place. And it seems very mundane and not very spiritual, doesn't it? But that's part of my daily routine of life. And the Holy Spirit is willing to lead me even in that. And then what about the situations we find ourselves in at work, or relational situations we find ourselves in, or somebody needs our help, or we can sense that something's wrong but we don't know what to do? In all of those settings, the Holy Spirit is ready to lead us because he wants to lead us in every single part of our lives. So let's open up our lives. Let's be wide open to the Holy Spirit's leading, confident that we don't have to be driven by our flesh all the time because the Holy Spirit is available all the time to give us all the direction that we need.